Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I will be talking about Detective Pikachu for the 3DS. This is not the movie, mind you, although I have seen the movie prior to this. I decided to dust off the old 3DS, or the old new 2DS, gotta love Nintendo's naming conventions, for the Pokemon 25th anniversary. I thought it would be a good idea to play through Detective Pikachu. This one's been sitting in my backlog for a little while, so it's good to finally have this one completed. I think the whole appeal of this game is just seeing Pokemon live in a world that is from like a non-battler view. Like, if you ever played the original Pokemon Snap and you really enjoyed just seeing the Pokemon like in their natural habitat and interacting with the world, not using their moves necessarily, just seeing how they co-inhabit with people. This was what was particularly enjoyable about the movie to me, is just seeing the humans alongside their one like designated partner Pokemon just going through this city. I think battles are like strictly forbidden in this city. I forget the name of it's Rhyme City. So battles are like forbidden in Rhyme City, and it's just a place for humans and Pokemon to co-inhabit with each other, and each human has like their own specific partner Pokemon. And I really like the idea of this whole partner Pokemon idea. It's kind of fun because there's just so many different types of Pokemon. A lot of them kind of take a backseat when it comes to, like, you know, the really strong, the Charizards and the Tyrannitars and the Snorlaxes, you know, like you get all the main Pokemon, but it's fun seeing some of the lesser known Pokemon get a shine in this particular game. And I just really like the whole idea that the partner Pokemon, like, it kind of is symbiotic with the human's personality or their hobbies, that kind of stuff. So obviously you have Detective Pikachu, which is Tim's partner Pokemon, but you'll come across a violinist, and she has a partner Pokemon, Kricketune, and normally you wouldn't give Kricketune a second thought after you saw him, but this one, like, I guess Kricketune's powers are he is really in tune with like sound, so he is really good at like tuning up her violin for her. Or like that the head detective, I know in the movie it was a Snubble, like that grouchy pug pink looking dog, but in this one it's like a stealthy, quick, hidden Pokemon. I can't quite remember the name off the top of my head. Normally I'm pretty good with like the first 3 generation of Pokemon, but when it gets later than that, I'm just like, I don't know what the name of this Pokemon. But so he has this quick ninja type of Pokemon that helps you out on a mission. Or you'll go to like this freight loading location, so obviously there would be like a lot of Machokes and Machamps lifting heavy cargo, or maybe even like a Matang floating in the air carrying these huge boxes. You know, it's just these Pokemon almost look like they are made to live in this world, to live alongside humans, which I thought it's just a really fun thing to see, especially if you're like a big Pokemon fan. One interesting thing about the Pokemon is they kind of went the anime version of this, where the movie did this as well, where the Pokemon cry isn't like their cry from the game. It is they are just repeating their name over and over again. So obviously if you're like a Magnemite, you just say Magna, instead of like the Pokemon Red and Blue version where it's just like, which I think that is actually kind of better because they say their names. Although you do have a lot of frequent conversations with Pokemon in this game, because Pikachu can talk to Tim, and then he can also talk to Pokemon. So he's kind of like your translator. And so when you're just reading through dialogue of the Pokemon, they just repeat their names over and over again. Magna. So it does get a little tedious, but that's just how Pokemon is, I think, in any format besides the video games at this point. I would describe the gameplay kind of more as a point-and-click adventure with some quick time events peppered in, and the quick time events aren't even that in-depth. It's kind of more something similar to like a Nancy Drew, where like you need to have the right dialogue options in order to progress the case, and so you'll go around interrogating the people in the area, talking to both humans and Pokemon. Like I mentioned, Detective Pikachu can translate for you, and you gather up these testimonies, you look around the environment, you gather up evidence, and then you talk to Detective Pikachu, and he'll kind of like talk you through finding out the case. It's very like, if you have a problem with hand holding, I don't think you're gonna like this game very much, because Detective Pikachu pretty much, like, I wouldn't say it's to the point of like Dora the Explorer, but he will kind of just talk you through it, and there's not really any way to fail a case, because if you suggest the wrong evidence is pertinent to this case, he'll say like, no, this is not that, and like kind of correct you and like talk you through the right and wrong answers. He'll kind of like progress you forward. As long as you gathered up all of the testimonies and all of the evidence in the area, you can just through hit or miss, you can find your way through the right answer if you really can't figure it out yourself. I do think some of the cases are a little more in depth than just yes or no. Like, it does take a little bit of thought if you aren't just completely relying on Pikachu to talk your way through it. But it isn't something that is totally in depth that maybe an adult would appreciate. I feel like the target audience for a game like this might be someone the age of like a main protagonist in a Pokemon game. So like a 10, 11, 12, that kind of age. And I feel like this game would shine best with a child that age and maybe like a parent helping them, because there are a couple more complicated areas, but then there are some super easy times too. Like, you'll be talking to a scientist, and the scientist says, I'm trying to make a medicine that is the color orange. And it's kind of funny because like this particular case I was talking about, she'll say, oh, if only I knew more about colors, but that's not my field of science. And it's just like, I think you know that you need something yellow and red to make an orange color looking medicine. You know what I mean? But this game is for a certain type of audience, certainly, and I think it would be a really good game for a younger audience with a parent helping them. It's a lot more episodic than the movie, if you've seen that one. The movie is obviously like only 2 hours long, and so the whole plot is going to revolve around Tim and Detective Pikachu trying to figure out what happened to his dad. In this one, it is 9 chapters, and you can kind of think of it as 9 TV show episodes almost, like they are their own self-contained episodes. So like the first one, a necklace gets stolen and you have to figure out what's going on with the necklace. There's another one where you're in the science lab that I'm talking about, and you have to figure out why this Pokemon went crazy. And so you're doing this detective work, and then there's this overarching plot of what happened to Tim's father, Harry. There's a ton of voice acting in this game, which was really appreciated. No, Pikachu is not Ryan Reynolds or Danny DeVito, but I do really like the voice actor for Detective Pikachu. He's still that kind of gruff, hey kid, how's it going? Oh man, I sure do love coffee. It's great. Don't worry, Tim. And so it's that kind of more raspy man voice, which is always funny seeing it come out of Pikachu, because, you know, normally Pikachu's cry is this really high-pitched Pika Pika! And so it's just fun seeing this gravelly voice come out of this normally high-pitched Pikachu. All of the other voice acting is pretty good as well for all the human characters. Obviously, the Pokemon themselves don't have a ton of voice acting to them, but the humans are pretty well acted. They actually kind of like get what's going on in the scene and adjust their voices and tones accordingly. I like Tim a lot better in the movie. I think in the movie he's a lot more of an interesting character. In this one, he's kind of more like a generic, boring kid, but you do kind of start to relate with him after playing for a little while. Obviously, the star of the show, though, is Detective Pikachu. During the talking scenes, the facial animations, they look okay for the 3DS, but sometimes it is just the flapping open and closed mouth animations that you would come to expect from an older type of game. And then it's like alongside that, you get these beautiful cutscene cinematics. I want to say there's maybe like 3 throughout the game, and they look awesome. Like, better than anything you'll see in Pokemon Sword and Shield on the Nintendo Switch, which is kind of crazy. It's like crazy dynamic camera angles, and it's just like, wow, why couldn't Sword and Shield have these cool cinematics that this game does? I understand that this is a shorter experience, and so it's more of a narrative game, so that's probably why they had the time to make these cool cinematics. But at least like the opening and closing cinematics in Pokemon Sword and Shield, I mean, they just look really good, and I am actually pretty surprised that the 3DS could output a visual such as this. as you're playing through the game and you're trying to figure out the cases one by one, you kind of just wander around the area, like I mentioned, and then you add to your notes, and then you'll talk to Pikachu. The game can be maybe a little bit frustrating as you like know the right answer. Obviously you can piece together like who's the bad guy, you know, or where did the item end up, and so you yourself know, but you need to like show your work to Detective Pikachu almost. So you need Pikachu to talk you through it even though you know the answer. But if you don't have just the right evidence uncovered to tell Pikachu, then you can't progress through the story. You can't tell him why you know what you know. And so it's kind of frustrating because like I want to progress, but I have to go through and interact with all of the environment because I just need to have the right evidence to prove to Detective Pikachu that's the right answer. The music is pretty generic elevator music, not too much to write home about here. And then the frame rate can dip sometimes, like sometimes during the more heavy, intensive cinematics, or even just through the regular gameplay, it'll dip noticeably. Like, I'm not one to be a stickler for frame rate drops or anything like that, but sometimes if it gets too low, you can visually see the dips and the stutters in the visuals. It's different in a couple ways from the movie, so if you have seen the movie, it is a different experience if you want more of that being in that Rhyme City kind of scenario. There are quite a lot of story beats that are similar to the movie, however. For instance, obviously, Tim is the only one that can talk to Detective Pikachu and understand him, and you're trying to figure out what's going on with Harry's father. And then I won't go into any more depth about that, but there are a couple different story beats. The story actually doesn't conclude at the end of this game, which is surprising. Like, obviously, you have a conclusion with the substance R, which if you haven't seen the movie or anything like that, I won't talk any more about that. But you don't really figure out what happened to Tim's dad, the Detective Harry. For some reason, it's just like, okay, all right, Detective Pikachu, we're gonna don't worry, we know that Harry's alive for some reason, but we're gonna go figure out what happened to him, and then it just kind of fades into the credits, and I'm just like, huh. Well, is it going to stick with what the movie revealed at the end? And then I don't know, because like it's just weird because as far as I know, there's been no mention of a sequel for Detective Pikachu. I think I've heard talk about porting Detective Pikachu to the Nintendo Switch, but I didn't hear anything about a sequel. So obviously there's a sequel in the mix because the story does not wrap up. It doesn't conclude. So I'm pretty curious if it aligns with the movie's conclusion or not. I guess I'll have to see someday when they finally do come out with a sequel. Although, you know, maybe this title just didn't do that well, so they're just going to drop the game here. Otherwise, I think it's pretty unsatisfying because the story doesn't conclude fully. It took a little less than 10 hours to beat, which is a short enough game. I think any longer than that, and I probably would have been really frustrated with it. Even how long I played it was a bit too long for its more slow, methodical approach to gameplay, which I think was kind of boring, but I could really see this game, like I said, it's for a certain type of audience. It's like, you really need to like mystery, point-and-click adventure games, or you really need to like Pokemon. Other than that, I could see a lot of people not really liking this game, and so I feel like a little under 10 hours might have been a little too long for me personally. Then again, if I paid full price for this, maybe I want the most bang for my buck. I didn't, though, so maybe that's why I feel that way. I think if you are one of those two groups, you will really like this game, or at least be able to appreciate it enough to finish it like I did. I think originally I was going to give this a 3 out of 5, but I was kind of thinking about it, and it's like, no, you know, this is my review, and I don't think I really had a 3 out of 5 experience with this. I would give this a 2 out of 5. It didn't quite make the bar for me personally, but I feel bad giving it a 2 out of 5, honestly, because I could appreciate the work done to it. It is a well thought out game. It's just kind of boring to play through. Well, guys, that's it for my thoughts on Detective Pikachu. Let me know what your thoughts are about the movie or the game. I'd love to hear from both. I really did like the movie. I like the movie a lot better than this. So if you do want a Detective Pikachu experience, definitely watch the movie before you play through this one. That's it for me, though. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!